You paid $200,000 to learn what a P&L is. Congratulations. You also bought access to a network that will pay you enough to make that sound reasonable. That's not education. That's a racket with really good branding. Welcome to the MBA.
Here's the thing. The degree is real. The knowledge is real. Finance, strategy, operations, accounting. These are actual disciplines with actual tools. A first-generation professional who never grew up around money genuinely learns things that rich kids absorbed at dinner tables. Discounted cash flow, competitive moats, contribution margins. That part is honest. But that's not why you're paying $200,000. You're paying for a key. Not knowledge. A key.
McKinsey doesn't recruit at state schools because Harvard teaches better finance. They recruit at Harvard because Harvard does their pre-screening for free. The school builds the filter. The firm walks through it. You pay for the privilege of being filtered. That's the business model. And you're the product. The MBA was invented in 1908 at Harvard to solve a real problem. America was industrializing at terrifying speed, and nobody knew how to manage a large organization. So Harvard created a graduate school built on real business problems, debated in rooms full of ambitious people. Legitimate? Necessary? It worked. Then, something happened. The credential became more valuable than the content. The network became the product. And business schools, which are themselves businesses, figured out they could charge extraordinary money for access to a social class that then paid its members enough to justify the price. The ROI is circular. Prestige attracts high earners boost salary rankings reinforce prestige. Nobody broke in from outside. They built the loop themselves. And the curriculum? It quietly teaches you to think like capital. Every problem gets translated into a capital allocation question. Return on investment, exit multiples, shareholder value. These are real frameworks. They're also a philosophy. And that philosophy? Business exists to maximize returns to shareholders, full stop. Has gutted middle management, normalized mass layoffs as a value creation strategy, and subordinated everything to the quarterly earnings cycle. The people implementing those decisions were MBA educated. The frameworks they used were MBA frameworks. That's worth sitting with. There's a reason Silicon Valley had a cultural allergy to MBAs for decades. Google, Amazon, Facebook. None of those founders had one. Steve Jobs distrusted them on principle. The critique wasn't ego. It was a real observation. MBA thinking can kill the irrational conviction required to actually build something. Consulting and private equity love MBAs. Founders, historically, did not. Here's what nobody says out loud. The MBA is a Western cultural export with a very specific agenda. Post-World War II, American firms went global. Their management practices, including their credentialing systems, got exported as universal best practices. A generation of elites across Asia, Africa, and Latin America spent fortunes going to American business schools. Not because the education was irreplaceable, but because that's where Western capital gatekeepers were looking. German Mittelstand companies are globally competitive without MBAs. Japanese firms develop world-class managers through decades of internal grooming. The MBA's dominance isn't proof of its superiority. It's proof of American institutional power. Those are different things.
So who should actually get one? If you want into finance, consulting, or private equity, and you're targeting a top 10 program, yes, do it. The key opens real doors. If you're switching industries and need a credential to make the transition legible to gatekeepers, yes. If you're a first-generation professional who needs the network more than the knowledge, the math might work. But if you're going to a mid-tier program hoping prestige will follow, it won't. If you're $200,000 in debt with vague ambitions, the numbers don't work. If you're trying to learn how to build something from scratch, this is not that. The MBA was designed for large organizations and financial capital. It works beautifully for both. For you, it depends entirely on which door you need opened and whether that door is actually on your path. Most people who get MBAs are buying access to a world they want to enter. Some of them belong there. Some of them are just paying very expensively to find out they don't.